What's going on today? Greetings. My name, as you might know, is Bernie Minkles, and this is The Bernie Show, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Hey, please subscribe, hit the like button, leave your comments. Feel free to praise or rip away. That doesn't matter because I just want to thank you for supporting all that I do here at STL Sports Central and also Camo X, Seeing Red podcast with Will Leach, and also the Cardinal Territory video podcast with Katie Wu. All right, today's topic. I'm tired of talking about this gosh dang runway season, which isn't quite how the Cardinals portrayed it before the season. It's not all that it was cracked up to be. Some of it, sure. Enough of it, no. First of all, I wasn't opposed to this so-called runway format season that the Cardinals marketed in advance of the 2025 season. Hey, play the younger guys, give them a full opportunity. Let's see the kids. Let's see who can improve their stock. Let's see who's going to be with us as we move into the future. Runway, runway, runway. Here's another way the Cardinals could have put it. I'm sorry. You shouldn't laugh at my own stupid voices and everything. All right, never mind. Here's another way the Cardinals could have put it. We're actually starting the rebuilding process, but we don't want to call it that because we don't think our fans would like the word rebuild and they'll hate us even more. So we'll run away from that by using the word runway, and they'll never know, in part because the naive media will take the bait. And hey, furthermore, this will give us cover when we slash the payroll by nearly $40 million. Aren't we clever? Aren't we sneaky? And yeah, by the way, this is Bernie talking here, not Mo now. All right. Yeah, you know what? I took the bait. I wanted to see if the Cardinals were serious about this runway crap. I was willing to give them a chance. I wanted to see how it would play out. I was ready to go along with it. Because you don't know if they really meant it. You couldn't be sure until you actually saw it and monitored it over a long period of time. So I became, if you've been, listening to my videos for a long time, you may remember this. I became very skeptical, even though I bought it at first. I became skeptical when John Mozeliak kept fumbling the messaging on this. Remember, at first it was a reset, then it was a runway. Then when the team couldn't trade third baseman Nolan Arenado because Nato vetoed that deal to Houston, then the reset became a transition. That didn't stick, so Mo went back to using runway. So pardon me for being negative, but if the person who conceived this plan couldn't even come up with a way to accurately describe it, then what do we have here exactly? What we have here, my friends, I think is a runway season that has been covered with too much bullspit. I wanted to say the other word. My boss even said I could say the other word. I'll say bull crap or bull spit. And am I being stupid? Yeah, I am, because I should just say the word. Anyway, for goodness sake, as I have shown in this video today, the word runway is probably the most overused expression in St. Louis sports history. It's unbelievable. I'm sick of it, but I keep using it. Why? Because maybe in the back of my mind is because the more I talk about the runway and reference the runway, the more I see the holes in the runway. This is a sort of runway season, as I mentioned at the top. Yeah, some good of it. Some good things came out of it, but a lot of it is fluff, and a lot of it is, well, let's see if the peoples will buy this. This is not a fully dedicated runway season. Maybe that was the intention. Maybe it all blew up when Nolan Arenado foolishly blew off the Houston Astros. But this sort of runway season, even with Nato staying, just has too many contradictions for me. And there's a lot of them. And I really want to get into them when I return for my second and final segment. I'm going to go through all that. First, it's DraftKings time. The Cardinals have about 28% of their regular season games remaining, and you have plenty of time to get into your lineup by trying the daily pick six fantasy game at DraftKings. It's a great time, really. Doesn't matter it's late. It's a better time, no better time than now to get into the game for a chance to learn how to play and how to win that cash. It's kind of a primer for next year, right? And a primer for the NFL and college football season. DraftKings Pick Six makes it easy to get started. So you put that baseball knowledge to good use and take your swings at winning that cash. So you just download the excellent Pick Six app from DraftKings, which is easy to navigate. Each day, DraftKings sets a stat line for dozens of major league hitters or pitchers for their next game. Just pick more or less on the stat line. In other words, higher or lower, over or under, more or less on the stat line for two or more of your players, and you pursue the cash. You can also play Pick Six Fantasy for NFL exhibition games. And I'm going to mention this just because I'm going to give you an idea how that works, even though it's an exhibition game. Former Mizzou quarterback Drew Lock, who re-signed with the Seattle Seahawks, he's going to start for the Seahawks in their exhibition season opener at home Thursday night against Vegas. Lock, according to media reports, is expected to play the first half. Then they will turn things over to rookie Jalen Milroe from Alabama in the second half. Now, DraftKings has set a line of 101.5 passing yards for Lock in this one. So if you pick more or higher than 101.5 yards, let me do that again. 101.5 yards. If you pick more than that or higher than that, and he throws for at least 102 yards, you win. But if you think the preseason football format and everything else is unpredictable, you don't know how long guys are really going to play or what kind of plays they're going to use. So if you think, no, you know what? Enough. Preseason football is too zany. So you might say, no, I think he'll throw for less than 101.5 yards. Then you would go with less or lower or under that. So again, I'm not giving you advice there. I'm just trying to explain to you how DraftKings Pick Six works when applied to NFL games. See, I try to educate here on the Bernie Show. It's not just me running my mouth. I try to educate. Anyway, Pick Six is available here in Missouri, so there's nothing to hold you back. I enjoy playing DraftKings Pick Six Fantasy myself, and I think you'll like it too. Here's a word of advice. I will offer advice. Do not settle for smaller payouts at other places. No way. You deserve better than that. So just switch to DraftKings Pick Six, and you'll be at the right place at the right time for winning cash. Right now, new customers can get $25 to use in pick bonuses with their first deposit of $5. So download the DraftKings Pick Six app now and use the code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick Six from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick Six not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick Six credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at picksix.draftkings.com/promos.
Okay. This is a topic that I really wanted to get into today because I was thinking about it yesterday. I've been thinking about it 2 or 3 days before that. I'm seeing contradictions in a lot of this runway nonsense. So you may be wondering why I dislike the contradictions and what's supposed to be a runway season. And let me say this in advance. Some of you may disagree with this or disagree with a few of the particulars. That's okay. Some of you will also point out, well, Bernie, I get what you're saying, but it would have been hard to maybe get this guy more at bats and blah, blah, blah. Okay, and I'm not blowing you off by saying blah, blah, blah. There's some truth to that. But, if you were really committed to a runway season, you would go there and push it and do it. That's my point. So we can quibble about some of the details, and it's okay. And if you disagree with me, I respect your right to disagree, and I appreciate you for taking the time to do it. But let me give you some examples. All right, number one, First of all, in this one, I think if you've been listening to me, maybe reading me here during the baseball season, this has been a particular point of irritation for me. So let me get this out of the way up front. First of all, the Cardinals and some in the local media continue to misapply the term runway in some cases. This is not, repeat, not a runway season for Brendan Donovan. He's a grown-ass man. He's 28 years old. He's got nearly 2,000 big league plate appearances. And if you remember, he voluntarily cut short his 2023 season to go have an elbow procedure so he could get a jump on the rehab. So, his plate appearance total could be over 2,000 by now. And then you have Lars Nootbaar. He soon will turn 28, and he was promoted to the big leagues by the Cardinals in 2021, and he's even played in more big league games than Donovan. Donovan and Nootbaar are not runway players, okay? So shut the hell up about that. Like I tried to warn you. Yeah, I find it annoying. Maybe to the point of being irrational, but I find it annoying. You know why? Because it lets the Cardinals get away with it. Because if you got people that have high-profile writing jobs or whatever, and they keep referring to these guys as runway players, well, the Cardinals, like in Nootbaar, like in Donnie's case, they get credit for a runway success when it's not a runway player. That's why I'm hollering. All right, let me calm down. Number two, Mason Wynn is not a runway player. At age 23, he's young, and gosh, it's great that he's young, considering how marvelous he is defensively, and I think he will improve offensively. But listen, Mason Wynn distinguished himself as a rookie last season to secure the starting job. And he's already in place to be the starter at short for a long time, unless Cardinals do something like, well, we think J.J. Weatherholt ought to play shortstop. I don't think they're going to do that. There'd be no reason, really. And I know I've mentioned the teams were calling about Wynn. That doesn't mean the Cardinals were interested in trading Wynn. No, when you have the guy who this year has saved more, who has more outs above average than any player at any position in the majors, and should have won the Gold Glove last year. He did win the Fielding Bible Award, which to me is more prestigious. He was named the best shortstop in the majors by Fielding Bible. And you have a guy who has clear offensive upside. That's a guy you're grateful to have, and that's why he's going to stay in place at shortstop probably for a long time. And the one thing about Mason Wynn too, man, he doesn't lack confidence. He doesn't get down in the dumps. He doesn't let it bother him. He doesn't get flustered. He loves to compete. He believes in himself. Anyway, by the way, I used this in a column, the Redbird Review, yesterday on STL Sports Central. I explained why I thought Mason Wynn was the team MVP, or the team's best player. Let me just say team's best player so far in 2025. It could change over the final, couple months, but I would give him the edge over Donovan. And if you read why I explained it, you would probably agree. Some people won't be, because I know Donnie's a folk hero and all that. But Mason Wynn's pretty impressive. And I tend to get a little hung up on him because I wish he could hit better. He's going to be fine. Because he runs well. He's not a base stealer, but he runs well. He navigates the base paths very well, right? Because of his base running and his exceptional defense. Here's a stat I used in that column that I think would surprise some people. I was using the Fangraphs version of WAR. I almost like 98% of the time I do. Mason Wynn, among shortstops in the majors, Mason Wynn has more wins above replacement than some big names, including Francisco Lindor, Mookie Betts, Dansby Swanson, Xander Bogaerts, Willie Adames, C.J. Abrams, and then in the American League, Corey Seager, Gunnar Henderson, Bo Bichette, Trevor Story. Again, understand the value. His defensive value is immense. And WAR takes in offense, defense, and base running, the complete skill set. And Mason Wynn is better than even I gave him credit for. But the one thing about me, when I realize my judgment or my feelings about something were off, I got no problem coming back and saying, you know what? I misjudged this, or I was wrong about this. I got no problem whatsoever to admit that, because to me, you get more credibility if you do. I love the people that just, oh no, I never said that. Oh no, I never wrote that. What are you talking about? No, I never did. I write that? Did I say? I didn't say that. Those people, nada with the credibility, and there's a lot of them out there. Anyway, I think Wynn is set. He's the league. He's league average offensively this year, slightly above, but he's been getting better. He's been really good since the All-Star break, and I think he'll continue to be better. And again, considering that he's the best defensive player in the majors and outs above average, he ain't a runway guy. He's a franchise guy, as in he's going to be a fixture here. All right, the next contradiction. I can't think of a Cardinal who defines the, quote, runway season concept more than outfielder Jordan Walker. He's still 23. He was starting to come on, really putting up numbers right around that time where he went into that Baltimore series and everything like that, really putting up big numbers. Then he had to go on the IL with wrist inflammation. And then when he came back, was starting to feel it again offensively, and then appendicitis. So he had to shut down for a while for that. So that makes it even more imperative that Walker be given rep after rep after rep after rep after rep in a major league batter's box. It's because he missed that time. And we're not talking about he missed like 2 months, but twice he was making progress and he had some momentum, and then the IL got in the way. But that's even more of a reason, an obvious reason, why you got to play him just about every single stinking day the rest of the season. He can be a huge part of this team's future, and that should supersede all other considerations. Listen, I respect Ali Marmol for, wanting to win, and he believes that, developing players, runway players, he believes that, if you can develop them while you're winning, they learn more that way because they see the fruits of their labor, or whatever cliche you want to use. I kind of get it, but I'm still not buying it, because when we think about what's on the line for this franchise and this big hole they got to climb out of as they begin to rebuild, even if they call it something else to try to con their fans, the only thing the thing that should be at the top of the list right now, more than anything, is finding out more about players who could be a big part of your future. If you're going to make a decision one way or the other, don't you want to see them as much as possible before Chaim Bloom officially takes over? Again, and Cardinals fans who disagree with me, man, I don't want you to get mad at me to say this, because I prefer the Cardinals to win. I love covering good baseball. It's the most exciting times of my career, covering the Cardinals in all those postseasons, those 2 World Series, all those pennants, the MV3, David Freese. I mean, on and on and on. Pujols, Molina, Wainwright, Chris Carpenter, Roland, Edmonds. I mean, I want that stuff, because more people are interested, and more people are in a good mood, and more people want to read what I write and come and listen to what I have to say. And I like to see people happy. I like St. Louis sports fans being happy, and they're happy when the Cardinals are really, really good. That's all I want. So in that context, that's why I explained it. I don't give a damn whether the 2025 Cardinals win 78 games, 79 games, 80 games, 81 games, 84 games. I don't care. I mean, if they win 83 games or something like that, which is what they did last year, all right. They can make a claim about this. They can make a claim about that. I'm not that interested, because, for example, with only 46 games left on the schedule, Jordan Walker should play just about every single game. But Ali Marmol, who I defend on a lot of things, I think he gets criticized for that are stupid. But I'm not in the tank for Ali Marmol. I will call him out when I think it's warranted. He won't commit to playing Jordan Walker every day. So how in the world is Walker, who missed time this year twice, how in the world do you expect him to improve? It's a bleeping runway season. Then you put it into action and you stick to it instead of waffling and yammering about it. And it's like, well, Jordan's going to have to compete for at bats now. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Anyway, that one sticks in my craw, as you can tell. All right, let's go to Alec Burleson. And this is an interesting one. And just hear me out on this. He is absolutely the beneficiary of a runway season concept. He's having a good year offensively, although, as usual, the local media overrates it. The last time I looked, Burleson, in terms of WRC plus, he's like 59th in the majors, which is nothing wrong with that. But if you listen to some of the locals, I mean, you think the Cardinals had a guy that's on, he's got some Juan Soto cat, no, nobody's saying that. I'm being an ass. But anyway, he has improved his corner outfield defense. He is having a good year offensively, and his defense has improved, especially in left field. And I really applaud that. I really do. But here's the thing. There's a couple things. This is Burley's fourth season as a Card. Granted, he didn't play much in 2022, maybe about 35, 40 games, something like that, maybe a little less. But in 2023, Burley jumped up to 103 games. Okay. Then last year, it's 152 games. Okay. Oddly enough, even though this is his runway season and Ollie Marmol is, declaring it a success, and, Burleson's in the lineup, he's in there to stay. Okay, fine. I find it really interesting because even though, Burleson is a success story per se in the runway season, his playing time has actually decreased this season. He played 152 games last year, and he had 547 plate appearances to this point. And yeah, I know there's 46 games left, but still, think about it. He's played it in 104 games. So even if he plays in every game, he's not going to get to 152. And he's taken 358 plate appearances in 2025. He had 547 last year. That's a pretty big gap. And again, I know that he'll increase those numbers the rest of the way. But let me tell you this. At the exact point of the schedule last season, in other words, the Cardinals' first 116 games, Burley was already over 400 plate appearances. He's been at the same exact point of this season, 116 games. He's been to the plate. Gosh, 358. That's 42. He's been. Compared to last year, and I didn't do the math quickly enough, and I apologize that. But at this point last year, he was already over 400 plate appearances. Right now, at the same juncture this season, 358 plate appearances. Even though he's healthy, he has played less. Even though he can be used at 4 different spots: left field, first base, right field, DH. He's played less. And Marmol is committed to playing Burleson every day, saying that he's done enough this season to earn it. Okay, why did it take so long to play him more? I mean, you invested a lot of them in him last season. There was enough there to say, I got to give this guy more of a run. They were slow to do that. He's played less this season. Runway. Okay. This brings me back, and I know some of you, because I talked about this at length, not exact same things, but I talked about Nolan Gorman a lot yesterday because I think there's a good chance, or just a chance, he'll be traded. But I think Gorman also personifies sort of the contradictory nature of runway season. So have patience with me, because I wouldn't be talking about Gorman unless he applied to what my topic was today. Yeah, he's missed 29 days this season because of 2 separate injuries, nothing major. And by the way, not 29 games, but 29 days. Gorman has been one of the team's best hitters since late May, after he rebuilt his entire plate approach. Been one of the best hitters factually, statistically, since late May. But as I mentioned yesterday, Marmol doesn't like his third base defense, which I think is kind of funny, but also kind of stupid, considering that Gorman has started only 28 games at third base during his 4 seasons with the Cardinals. Oh, so the manager of the Cardinals, it's just like, well, he's not Nolan Arenado. You think? Why would anybody expect, especially the manager of the Cardinals, expect Gorman to play consistent defense there, especially coming off the IL? I thought Gorman made a real nice play in that Dodgers game yesterday. The Cardinals won. Talking about Wednesday's game. That's what I'm saying. He's got to play. He's got to play. The more you play, the better you get. Or the more you play, the worse you get. Then a team can fairly say he's not a third baseman. You don't do that based on 27 freaking starts, okay? Here's the real contradiction. Gorman's has worked really, really hard. In other words, he's done exactly what they wanted him to do. Nolan, we really think Brant Brown, the new hitting coach, can help you. He's got some really good ideas about improving your swing judgment, everything, like, your whole plate approach. That doesn't, you don't do that in a week. That takes time. So he was rebuilding that approach early in the season. And it finally, everything's kind of clicked in, and, Gorman was ready to, basically show us what he's learned. And he has been getting improved results. This season, Gorman's numbers, and this includes early this season, includes the whole season numbers, even when he wasn't good early on. This season, Gorman's numbers have improved compared to last season in batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage, isolated power, OPS. His walk rate has gone up. That's good. His strikeout rate and swing and miss rates have gone down. That's good. Since May the 26th, Gorman leads the Cardinals in slugging percentage. He's second in OPS. He's 32% above the league average offensively since May the 26th. He's also put up, as I mentioned yesterday, the very best numbers of any Cardinal used at DH this season, but he only has about 80 plate appearances at DH. But despite all that forward progress, and again, this is based on the facts, here's a stat that is absolutely comical to me. And whether you like Nolan Gorman as a fan or not, you're entitled. You don't have to agree with me. But this isn't about whether you like him or not. Remember, they were the ones, the Cardinals, because they didn't want to say, well, we're entering a rebuild phase. Please have patience, right? They thought, well, what can we do in our incredibly creative minds? Oh, we'll call it a runway season. That sounds kind of snappy. Runway season. See what Mr. DeWitt, what we'll do, we'll call it a runway season, and that will create all kinds of imagery in the imaginations of our fans, where they can see jets taking off on the runway. See, our young guys will be like those jets taking off up into the wild blue yonder in their runway season. Our fans will love this. I think this is a good marketing strategy. Anyway, they call it a runway season, and Gorman has improved this season through his hard work. He's improved in every single hitting category that matters. And if you want to fuss on his defense, especially at third base, he has started 27 or 28. I forget. I might have not updated it. At most, he has started 28 games in the major leagues at third base. Not enough to say, oh, he can't play. All right. Even though it's a runway season and Gorman is here for offensive reasons, 98% of it, even though he's improved across the board offensively. All right, here's the stat. Last season, Nolan Gorman had 402 plate appearances. Last season. You know what he has as we sit here on this Thursday, August the 7th? You know what he has this season? He's got 244. Now, here's a guy that has more power than anybody on the team, and this is a team that is pathetically short on power, right? And this is a guy that's got, despite all of his swing and miss and whiff problems and everything else, he's still got a 432 career slugging percentage. And as I demonstrated yesterday, I won't go all over that again, like in his age group, he's been one of the better hitters. Absolutely one of the better hitters, left-handed hitters in his age group in terms of hitting for power. So, but think about this for a minute. Last year, Gorman was so bad, and it was so hopeless, they demoted him to the minors for the last 5-6 weeks of the season. This year, after working with a new hitting coach, Gorman is better prepared. I think he's smarter. He's clearly more capable. There is work to do with refining his plate approach and his swing decisions. but he is making progress. And even when he relapses, he bounces back. And yet, he can't even get anything close to the same number of plate appearances that he had last season when he was at his worst. Does this make sense to anybody? Gorman has now been relegated to some half-baked platoon role. That's what Ollie Marmol told the beat writers the other day in L.A. Until Arenado's back, and Ollie's talking about it. Well, we'll use Gorman against lefties and Thomas Saggese against righties. I got that wrong. Sorry. Gorman against righties and Saggese against lefties. And by the way, I like Thomas Saggese. He's done very little so far. He hasn't really hit left-handed pitching either. In my theory, because it is, after all, look at our Runway season. Isn't it beautiful? Look. We introduced the Runway season. Our young Jets are going to be taking off and flying off, coming down that wide open runway. Well, if you're in a Runway season and you're already out of postseason contention and you have someone with the prodigious power potential of Nolan Gorman, I don't know. You think this might be a good time to let him hit against lefties? Maybe not every day, but more. This is why I'm the stat man, to the point of like being irritating sometimes. And I irritate myself because I look up too many stats and I'm like, well, no wonder I can't get anything else done. Anyway, a lot of people I don't think realize this, because I didn't realize it, and I am the stat boy. But in his first 3 major league seasons, you know what Nolan Gorman's bottom line WRC plus, which is wins, runs created, adjusted runs created plus. Listen, it's OPS plus, except it's a better version of it. So anyway, his first 3 seasons against left-handed pitching, and keep in mind, he was age 22, 23, and 24. He was still learning. His WRC plus was 98. The average is 100. He was 2 points under average against lefties. He shall never bat against left-handed pitchers again. I don't know. Wouldn't it make sense? This is the time. You got a mediocre teams at 500, probably going to go up over 500, game or 2 or 3, go down, game or 2 or 3, whatever. They're not going to the playoffs. If you want to find out more or give Gorman more experience against left-handed pitchers, ain't this the time to do it? These people, you know what? People don't. Those of you who don't like me, and that's all. That's cool. I think the Cardinals sometimes are like, you know what? Let's do this. It completely contradicts everything we're saying. And it'll be funny just to see Bernie go nuts and lose his mind. They're not really saying that, but I'm just laughing at that. Sometimes I think they're trying to antagonize me. I'm paranoid. No, I'm just kidding. So Gorman's playing time is going to go down when Nolan Arenado returns with his 366 slugging percentage and an OPS that is 60 points less than Gorman's this season. But he's going to play, and the local media already has started. Well, he's going down to rehab that shoulder in Jupiter, Bernie. He's going to come back, and he's going to be looking like he's a 31-year-old man. This stuff is just so predictable. It's actual comedy. Okay. Marmol, and I asked him about on KMOX the other day, he will play Arenado every day, and basically doesn't matter how bad it gets, as long as he's healthy and he's here, he's going to play. He'll be in the lineup because he is one of the great third basemen all time. He's a 10-time Gold Glove winner. It's a future Hall of Famer. He's one of the most respected players in the game for his career. He's a leader, on and on and on. I have a lot of respect for Nolan Arenado, but this is supposed to be a Runway season, and he is a shell of what he used to be offensively. And I understand like treating him with respect, but what I don't understand is this idea that he has to be in there all the time. Maybe the only thing I'll say to defend the Cardinals, even though I criticize them, but no, I can defend them on this count. Maybe they're looking to, thread the needle, so to speak. We say, well, if he goes down to Jupiter and he comes back and that shoulder feels better and he puts up even decent numbers the rest of the way, not great numbers, but decent numbers offensively, we would have a better chance of trading him, even though we're going to have to eat a lot of money. So, yeah, again, I try to be fair. So, yeah, maybe that's the scenario they have in their little minds. It's not crazy, but I still, I just still don't like this idea. Like a guy, no matter how great he's been in the past, he's guaranteed a spot in the lineup no matter what. But it's veterans, and they have tended to call the shots around here for a while, right? Anyway, the final contradiction I want to talk about is a familiar one, and there are others, but I'm not. I'm already going overboard. I talked about Nolan Gorman for too long, but it was for a good reason. Anyway, it's a Michael McGreevy situation. You know all about it. Some of you point out. First of all, let me address this up front, and it's a totally valid point. It might be misplaced, and I'll explain that too. But, some of you will point out, because I've had some of you point out to me, well, Bernie, Michael McGreevy hasn't been all that good this season when given a chance to start. Yeah, a couple times, yeah, but his ERA, and I'll update it, his ERA in 6 starts this season is 5.74. That's terrible, right? Now, his fielding independent ERA is much better than that, indicating that maybe he has pitched better than the ERA would indicate. But look, bottom line, it's a 5.74 ERA, and it isn't good. But it also, with all due respect, it misses the point. The point is he's a young starter that the Cardinals are looking to and thinking he can be a part of our 2026 rotation. And they're going to have to upgrade their rotation for 2026. That's an absolute necessity. So in a so-called runway season, doesn't it make sense to get as many looks at McGreevy and get him as much experience as you possibly could as a major league starter? And every time he pitches, you learn a little more and a little more and a little more. You identify his strengths. You got a better handle on what he does well. The more he pitches, you have a better handle on what he doesn't do so well. And you have a better handle. The more he pitches in the majors, you have a much better handle on what he needs to work on to be better in 2026. See, that is what a runway season is about. And he should have been in this rotation a long time ago. Instead, John Mozeliak would not trade Eric Fetty last offseason. And then when he could have gotten something for him, and then Mozeliak stubbornly stood by 2 terrible starters who had no future whatsoever with the Cardinals. We're talking about Eric Fetty, and we're talking about Miles Michaelis. Those 2, 40% of the starting rotation. And meanwhile, in a runway season with a guy that you're looking to be in the rotation next season, you kept him in Memphis most of the year until they finally, even Mozeliak, finally said enough's enough. And he designated Fetty for assignment after that disastrous start in Colorado, July 22nd. Don't you think that McGreevy, it would have been a smart idea to give him as many starts as possible in 2025? Probably would have helped you win more games too. You got to get a more complete picture of him. See, I'm a McGreevy guy, but I'm not a McGreevy guy to the point where if he comes out next season and it's just getting, smacked around. Oh, no, man, McGreevy's really, really good. I'm not one of those guys. I evaluate performance, and sometimes the performances are good. You tip your cap. When they're not so good, what you don't do is say, well, 2 weeks ago I said he was really good. I can't go back on that. Well, why not? It's a performance-based industry, okay? That's how you evaluate players. Anyway, Mozeliak stuck with Fetty and Michaelis before cutting the cord on Fetty. But anyway, Michaelis, of course, is still here. I saw a note where he was talking to, I don't know why, he pitched in Japan, and like some reporter who represents one of the Japan news services asked Michaelis about pitching in Japan. And he said, I hope one day to pitch in Japan. Gosh, it was some of my happiest days in baseball. Why didn't Mo sell him to some team in Japan? let Michaelis go back to Japan, right? Maybe he can reinvent himself again and then find another general manager who is stupid and we'll bring him to the United. Actually, the signing was a good one. Michaelis was really good his first year here, but Mo made the mistake of giving him 2 contract extensions after big signs of trouble were there, right? Anyway, I'm kind of rambling now, but I'm trying to be more entertaining. Anyway, this season when Michaelis or Fetty started a game, the Cardinals were 15-27. And the two of them as Cardinals combined for a 5.16 ERA. And McGreevy was confined in the minors, to the minors when he could have been up here, taking punches to the face, metaphorically speaking, but just learning how to get better. That's a big part of this. It is, after all, a runway season. So the Cardinals I'm almost done. The Cardinals have lived up to their pledge in only 3 cases. Victor Scott in center field, Matthew Liberatore in the rotation, and the impressive hitter Ivan Herrera. First of all, it's no brainer on Herrera. Second of all, yeah, it's about damn time they recognize Liberatore at least deserved a shot, and it's been mixed results so far. And Victor Scott has so much speed, and he's so good defensively that I can understand, hey, listen, we got to let him play. And the only way he'll get better offensively if he plays and plays and plays and plays and plays. And you know what? They're sticking by that. But then again, that's another contradiction. Yet they won't commit to a daily spot in the lineup for Jordan Walker. And with all due respect to Victor Scott, Jordan Walker potentially has more impact to the betterment of the Cardinals than just about anybody on this team. He's up there on the short list. Yet they commit to Victor Scott, even though the Cardinals, their center field production the last 3 years it's laughable. But they stick with Victor Scott, and I'm saying that's the right move. But why don't they do that with Victor Scott, with Jordan Walker? If they do it for Victor, why don't they do it for Jordan Walker? Contradiction. I suppose we could add a 4th player, the catcher Pedro Pages. And, he doesn't hit very well. He's terrible at blocking. He's very good at pitch framing. And the pitchers love him. And as we've learned, the pitchers call the shots here too. Because remember the way they conspired to throw Wilson Contreras under the bus in 2023 when he had been here for like 6 days. I'm exaggerating, or as early in the season. But to cover their own asses because they were so bad, they were pointing fingers at Contreras. And Ollie Marmol rolled over for him. So when the pitchers go to me and say, Ollie, we really need Pages, what do you think Ollie's going to do, right? So the catcher situation will be revisited in pretty short time because the Cardinals have, I think their number 4, 5, and 6 prospects are all catchers. All right, listen, my final thing here, I'm going to retire the name Runway. I'm going to do my damn best to retire the name Runway because it doesn't fit. It's not a runway season. You know what it is more about? It's more about John Mozeliak and, yes, even Ollie Marmol. It's about them running away from the runway. That's the way I see it. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your support. Thanks to DraftKings for presenting the Bernie Show here on STL Sports Central. Have a good rest of your Thursday. Looking forward to the Cubs and Cardinals this weekend.